position, man, this is a great position group. This should probably be your best and most consistent position on the field this year.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is probably your most talented group, and I think it's where your playmakers are going to be. You have one of the best offensive lines in the country, so this group should be ready to run wild with Eric Gray and Ty Chandler kind of being that two-headed monster. They do take a blow in Tim Jordan not being on the roster, but that just gives more opportunity for somebody else to be that third back. Because, in the SEC, you're going to need 2 or 3 backs to kind of have the carries. You're going to have one guy get the bulk of the carries, and I think that's going to be Eric Gray. But after that, you're going to have a Ty Chandler probably going to get more than enough touches. And then you have a third guy who
to be determined.
It needs to be a bigger guy because Ty Chandler and Eric Gray are, very similar in body type. So you want a bigger guy, that short yardage guy, and, maybe a guy that they use on the goal line. I know they used Quavaris Krause last year, but with him, getting a bigger role on defense, potentially being a starter, I think, you got to look at one of those guys to take that role.
Yeah, and I said this should be one of your better and most consistent positions, and I'm not. And what I'm about to follow up with that isn't going to take away from it. It does get a little. You talked about Tim Jordan leaving the team. That does make the position a little bit more thin, especially when you consider experience. Carlin Fils-aime, I think, is probably the next most experienced back behind Eric Gray and Ty Chandler. He didn't touch the ball at all last year, running back. I think he spent most, if not all, of the year.
He was hurt.
Well, he didn't start the year at DB, right?
That was 2018.
It was 18 that he played. He played 18 or played DB. But that's your most experienced back after those two guys. There's a lot of questions here. Len'Neth Whitehead will probably go into fall camp, freshman at running back, but I think they want to move him to safety. That's everybody's assumption. Linebacker. Sorry. That's everybody's assumption. That's where they want to move him. And then you have T. Hodge, another freshman that could make it. You talked about a bigger back. That's probably one guy you're going to consider because, like you mentioned, Crouch is probably a starting linebacker this year. Right. So he's not going to be able to get a ton of touches at running back, and they're probably going to want to keep him and save him anyways for those goal line packages. You don't want to overuse that package. That's not something you want to overuse. Now the good thing is Eric Gray and Ty Chandler both run downhill really well. Now they're not big backs. I don't have their exact measurements. But they're not big backs.
Yeah, Eric Gray is 5'10", 195, and Ty Chandler is 5'11", 201.
Yeah, so not
very similar.
Yeah. I mean, they run very similar. They have they do complement each other well in that Eric Gray's a little bit faster out in space. Ty Chandler, for the most part, Eric Gray had several good runs, inside the tackle box, but it seemed like Ty Chandler does a little bit better, depending on the situation. Yeah. But they complement each other well. They both finished with Ty Chandler finished with almost 700 yards. Eric Gray almost 600 last year. Eric Gray, though, the bulk of that in 1 or 2 games. So
yeah, I mean,
3 games, I guess.
Half of it was against Vanderbilt. He had 246 yards,
right.
And then he had 86 against Indiana. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of talent within this group, and I think Tennessee's really excited about T. Hodge and Len'Neth Whitehead. Even if Whitehead doesn't end up at running back, I think they coveted him during the recruiting cycle.
I think with the exit of Tim Jordan, before Tim Jordan left, I would have put a lot of money on him being a linebacker. Now I'm kind of thinking there's a better chance of him being a running back. I don't know exactly what T. Hodge brings. He is a really big kid. I don't know where his speed is at though. I'm unsure.
Yeah.
Now he did play the highest level of high school Tennessee football in the state of Tennessee, but I don't know what that really means for.
Right.
It's such a shift.
Yeah, it's kind of up to him. I mean, there's a lot of kids like Eric Gray was like, he went to like a very small school in Memphis, very small private school. So you just don't know really what you're going to get with, and that's like all, whatever classification. And if you're like at St. Francis, like Aaron Willis, Katron Evans, Dominic Bailey, you kind of know what you're getting with some of those guys because they've practiced and played with that type of talent for so long.
Right.
But with these guys, it's just a matter of time. You're going to see what you really get, and that's where the evaluations come in. That's why you make the big bucks.
Oh, absolutely. I am excited for a guy like T. Hodge. Hopefully you see him this year. I do. I mean, you gotta love his size.
Oh yeah.
You gotta love his size. And then another thing I'm really curious about the running back position is how effective can they be in the passing game? There were times they were effective. They did have some periods that they were a threat in the passing game, but it wasn't consistent all season. So I'd like to see that pick up. It can expand your offense so much. It can open up so much, not just for you in the run game, but also your receivers too. When safeties are having to account for you, linebackers are having to account for you, it makes it much more difficult to defend just the receivers when it's a passing down. So that's one thing I'd like to see get better this year. Not that it was terrible last year, but it wasn't probably where it should have been.
Yeah, and it just gives your quarterback an extra boost of confidence knowing that they have somebody in the backfield that's able to catch a check down.
It's kind of similar to tight end position. You talk about that safety valve. A running back can be that too. So it benefits your quarterback a ton when you have a guy like that.
And you saw that firsthand against Indiana. You saw those 2 check down passes to Eric Gray, who went, I think it was, those 2 passes were like 34 yards and kind of put us in range to score.
Right.
And, that just, like I said, JG needs all the confidence he can get. And so with guys like Ty Chandler and Eric Gray, and anybody, if, Jabari Small is an incoming freshman who's kind of that all-purpose back type as well. So if he can come in and be utilized in the passing game, I've seen some stuff where he's played in the slot a lot. So maybe, he could be some help too.
Right.
I don't think anybody on like scholarship players, I guess. I don't see anybody in here that won't be given a chance to at least play.
Yeah, no, and it does help that. And the thing about this Tennessee coaching staff is they're gonna if you have a good, I assume, practice, because it seems like they would come into a game going to a different guy. It wasn't are you rolling in the game. Every week it seemed like whoever the hot hand was in practice, or maybe even finish out the previous game hot, we're going to ride that hot hand. So I don't think it's necessarily about, and that's why I do lean towards Eric Gray being the number 1 back, but at the same time, if Ty Chandler has a better fall camp, it doesn't even have to be a phenomenal fall camp, but just a better fall camp than Eric Gray, he's the number 1 back the first day, I think, with the way this coaching staff is.
And that's why you can't be discouraged as a running back, because, you have that. With Butch Jones, though, it was any time that you made a mistake, you're out and you're not going to get back in.
Yeah.
And then if you did a 50-yard run, you're coming out. Like, there's a lot of annoying stuff with that I just don't even really want to get into.
I mean, even Tennessee kind of did that with, I don't know if it was necessarily that rotation. Our receiver rotation at the beginning of the year in 2019 was very poor. They brought T. Martin down from the booth, and it got a lot better. You had somebody there who had a sense of who was responsible for receivers, and then also had a sense for what was going on in the game.
Yep.
I mean, there were passing third downs that we didn't have. I mean, probably any third downs. And when you don't have your 2 leading receivers on the field, you're wasting a play, and that happened a lot early on. I was glad to see that get fixed. But yeah, I think you definitely need to ride the hot hand. And that's a good thing about being a back in the system. If you play good, you're going to get an opportunity to play, and if you build on that, you're going to get an opportunity to continue building on that success. It's not, all right, go to the number 1 guy. It's go to whoever's playing well.
Yep, going to be plenty of opportunities. And you look at the I know we're about to talk about the non-conference and conference schedules, but you play some of those cupcake games to get more people some looks and see them in real game atmosphere. So I mean, a guy like Jabari Small, a guy like Len'Neth Whitehead, T. Hodge can come in there. If they come in there and produce, they're going to get a chance against bigger opponents, SEC opponents.
Right. Absolutely. Aaron Ross said T. Hodge is fast. He said he's a Maryville guy. He says he's not as fast as Gray. I don't doubt that he's fast. He got offered by Tennessee, and not a Butch Jones Tennessee. So I don't doubt that he's fast. And it does change for anybody. We talked about that just a second ago. No matter where you play in high school, there's going to be a game speed adjustment period, no matter how fast you are. And I guess it's just to see how he adjusts. BVD said he's probably going to be a smashback. I agree. I think he's going to probably be used in downs where you need to get yards. The good thing is, when we're talking about getting yards, Eric Gray does a good job after contact. So you're not desperately seeking that big back.
I mean, he's just got that Eric Gray just got that extra wiggle that no one else in this roster has.
Yeah.
I mean, even Tim Jordan wasn't a big time back. I mean, I don't even know.
I think he was like just 5-10 pounds heavier than those guys before quarantine.
Right. Yeah, he just ran different.
Well,
He's 5'11", yeah, before quarantine.
What was he after quarantine?
I don't know.
Well, what was his weight before? Do you have it?
203, 5'11", 203.
Okay,
so
yeah.
he was about the same as Ty Chandler.
Yeah. I bet he was every bit of 225 in that picture.
Maybe his neck is thicker. I don't know. His neck looked huge.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's a big dude. He's a big dude. I'm curious to see Carlin Fils-aime what I guess the first year Pruitt was here, 2018. I think he got several looks to I think he got the ball handed off to. No, that was so I guess 2017.
2017,
yeah. Butch's last year. I think he had 50 something carries.
He had 31 carries for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So I mean, he seems to. I don't know if what opponents those were against, but
right. I mean, he's a track guy. He's only 5'11", 180, so he's probably the smallest guy that could get playing time. But I mean, you can't coach speed.
No, and I don't know whose decision it was to keep moving him around. But if the good news is, so I think a lot of people look at that as a negative, and I think it depends. But I think the good news of that is if it's the coaching staff's decision to move him around, it could mean two things. One, that it's just that those positions are thin, which is probably one of the factors in 2018. But another factor is they may be looking and going, we just have good running backs in front of him. He's talented. He's athletic enough. We need to get him on. We need to find a way to get him on the field.
Yep.
And that could be a positive for Carlin Fils-aime is that they wanted him to just be on the field, and we're trying to find a space to utilize the talent. They don't want to waste a scholarship spot. No college coach wants to waste a scholarship spot.
Right.
So that is the good news. Is maybe that's the kind of silver lining of moving positions. The coaches want to see you on the field.
Yeah, and he's got experience. I mean, that's something you can't coach either. Just real game experience. So I mean, he probably has a leg up on some of those freshmen. But the bad thing is with him, Ty Chandler and Eric Gray are very similar in running styles.
And Eric Gray just finished the year so hot. I gotta imagine he.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely the most talented back in this group, and you saw he was just a freshman and already the premier back. So I expect more of a
and maybe
workload. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
More of a workload from him. And dude, I just think with this offensive line, and questions. You have questions at quarterback, but you have a lot of questions at receiver too. I just think this is going to be the focal point of the offense.
I've got to think so. Yeah, I've got to think so. So what I was going to say too is Eric Gray may have gotten faster this offseason.
Hopefully.
So what was he running 24 miles an hour?
Yeah, something insane.
So what do you think? Because I know we'll get closer to the season and we'll predict. It's kind of stat leaders, so I want to ask specific guys. What do you think what do you think Tennessee's rushing yards finish at between the 2-3 guys?
I think Eric Gray gets to 1,000 yards. That's a bold prediction. I think anywhere from 1,700 yards.
You don't think they eclipse 2,000?
I don't know. I mean, with this offensive line, I think it's possible, but I just think I don't know.
So I think, to the point you made earlier, that you have so many questions at receiver, and those may get answered early on, and they may be able to kind of not entirely ride out the running game like they probably are thinking they may have to right now. But I think they could get to 2,000 because you're considering the two backs they have, and then the fact that the offensive line's good, plus you're probably going to be relying on those running backs a lot. I think I could see this group as a whole, probably maybe not between those two backs, getting to 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1,800 yards would be a safe bet, and they could possibly get to 2,000. I think that'd be great. But if you do have question marks at receiver,
oh yeah, definitely allows them to load the box.
Yeah,
that's
that's where I'm like, I don't know. But then again, if you have good receivers, then you throw it more. I don't know. Yeah. It's just, I just think with this offensive line, I think that's going to be their strength is running the football, and just got to capitalize on the holes,
right?
Things like that. So,
and that's one thing you kind of hope with with a fifth-year senior at quarterback too, is because a lot of the running game is being able to identify, and it's not, unfortunately, as easy as it looks, being able to go away from the strong side. It's not that simple.
Right.
But being able to identify the weak spots in the defense and running to that side or running into that gap. And hopefully, you hope with a fifth-year senior quarterback we've talked about, this should kind of be a year where he's more comfortable with, is it his first time with a coordinator?
Yeah,
back-to-back coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
You hope that allows him to get more comfortable and maybe make those reads, because that's crucial in having an effective running game, as a quarterback being able to identify the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I never played running back, but I'd like to think like with 4 or 5 stars and a 4-star 6-year senior that, you know, I don't think you can have a better friend than a talented offensive line like that.
No, I wouldn't think so. So in 2017 with John Kelly, I think that's the last time Tennessee eclipsed 2,000 yards in the run game.
What year was that?
2017.
Okay.
And that, I mean, you're relying a lot on your run game. That's why I went back to that.
That's kind of surprising. Because who was it? It was
John Kelly and
Carlin Fils-aime was part of that.
Was Tim Jordan?
Ty Chandler.
Ty Chandler is he a junior this year? Dang.
No,
I guess he senior. Is. He's a senior? Dang.
Yeah,
and then 18
he'll be a junior. That's
18 you only got to 1,800 yards. So, yeah, I mean, I think 2,000 yards of this group with the expectations coming in, the talent you have, I don't think 2,000 yards is definitely out of the question. I'm with you. 1,800 is probably your safe bet. That I think they get to 1,800 yards. I don't know where they finish. I'll look.
Yeah, this will be his senior year.
Okay, that's crazy. I don't feel like he's been on campus.
He was in the same class as Trey Smith. So
that's crazy. I just don't feel like he's been on campus that long.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's wild. 2016, 3,000 rushing yards. Dang. That's that was total gain though too. So that's not against the lost yards. So take with that what you will.
Maybe if Jimmy Holiday plays some Wildcat quarterback, we'll get to 2,000.
Now you're adding another threat in there.
Yeah.
There you go. I kind of like that. We had a question. Well, we had questions about running back too before we get into the conference schedules.
Yeah, I have that. So Jordan Craze says, which freshman running back do you see getting the most PT carries this year? I think for me, it's got to be T. Hodge.
Yeah, just because you don't know where Len'Neth Whitehead's even going to be right now, I think the safe bet's got to be T. Hodge.
Yep. And from, I just know, like, hearing, is it Derek Hunt?
Derek Hunt's at Maryville.
Yeah. I heard him, like, an interview with him talking about T. Hodge's work ethic. And I just think that's going to fit in perfectly with a Jim Chaney offense.
Yeah.
If you got the talent, Jim Chaney's going to get it out of you.
Right. I don't disagree with that. Now, he's got to utilize it. I think T. Hodge is going to be a very, I hope he has the speed, but it seems like he's going to be a very kind of specific back. And the thing, too, about any kind of freshman back when you're talking about two very experienced guys in front of them, how effective can they be in the limited playing time they get? Because he may have a couple good plays this year. How many good games does he have? Because he's not going to get. How often is he even going to get back-to-back touches?
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
maybe
Gray
a handful
have
of times.
A ton of games that he just dominated until the end of the season.
Right,
I mean,
where he started getting back-to-back touches.
Yeah, it was, the first couple of games he, had a pretty decent time, and then it just hit a wall. And I think he talked about that in the slice. He didn't find his groove until, like, Missouri.
Right.
And then he blew up against Vanderbilt and had a great game against Indiana. But yeah, it's a lot for a freshman to, I think, just get used to the SEC schedule. Because in high school you're playing 10 games minimum, and it's just not that physical,
right?
As SEC football. I mean, this would be a minor league to the NFL. Like it would be AAA to the NFL.
Right.
Because this is the next step, or the step before you get to the NFL. This is the highest level of football you can get without getting paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do T. Hodge is probably going to be the guy, I agree, that's going to be the freshman contributor. I just don't know how much. Yeah. And if there weren't two, if it was just Ty Chandler or just Eric Gray, I'd say he has a good shot. Whoever that freshman back is, I still probably lean T. Hodge, but I might give him a better chance. I don't know how many back-to-back touches he even gets this year, so I just don't know how effective. Will he have some good plays? I'm sure. I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many good games, I just don't know how often, if he'll get a chance to really be comfortable in the backfield. So.
And it's also like, do they see all three of these guys as redshirt candidates? We only see them in 4 games.
Right.
And maybe not even that.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know. I think it's probably T. Hodge for me, just because. I mean, pretty much, I just don't see, with the question marks and Len'Neth Whitehead being a linebacker, running back, and then Jabari Small is kind of the exact same back as Eric Gray and Ty Chandler. I just don't see how it's got to be T. Hodge.
Right.